Welcome to All the Way Up. I'm Anthony Amazon. This is Aubrey Andrus. And today we have Karl Freund. He is a real estate entrepreneur, real estate mentor, real estate broker, man of all hats. Welcome, Karl.
Thank you. Good to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So let's take it to the beginning. Most childhood, like, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Dude, don't tell anybody this, but I was born in New Jersey. Not many people know that, because I always say, you know, like, oh, where are you from? I'm from New York. And so, born in Teaneck, New Jersey, of all places, which is not that far from Manhattan. And then grew up in the tri-state area for a long time, and then actually moved upstate to go to school at St. Bonaventure many years ago, many decades ago now. Yep.
So at what point did you move to Arizona?
Moved to Arizona October 1st of 2005. I remember the exact day.
What brought you out here?
Somebody showed me a brochure of Scottsdale, and it was like, oh, the weather's good, and there's golf, and there's, you know, like cool people and nightlife and stuff like that. And I was just so fucking sick of Denver. So rewind it just a little bit. So I had lived in New York my entire life. And what's really interesting about like living in New York, you get so focused on what New York is that you don't realize that there's a whole nother world outside of New York.
It's like Vegas. Everybody thinks Nevada
like,
just Vegas.
Yeah, right. And so, like, you know, you become so geocentric and not realizing, like, oh my God, there's like a whole other world out there, you know. And so I graduated at a really, really shitty point. It was like May of 2000. And it was like the dot-com crash, literally was like that month, you know. And I had done this huge interview process to go work for a brokerage, stock brokerage in Manhattan, got hired on, and then the recruiter, and it was like a 6-month process of getting hired on. The recruiter calls me like 3 days before I'm supposed to start. I was supposed to start on Monday. He called me on like a Thursday, and I had graduated like the Saturday before. And he's like, congratulations on graduating. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks, man. You know, like ready to get to work. He's like, yeah, about that. Yeah, don't even bother coming down because we laid off everybody, and you're, you know, kind of the bottom of the totem pole. So go get fucked.
Yikes.
And so, you know, I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm like, you know, I just graduated college, and I got a little bit of college debt, and yeah, that payment starts in like 6 months. And
So you're like scrambling.
yeah, I'm just stressed, you know, and so was really designed to be in the financial markets. And a good buddy of mine who was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is an accounting firm, he was working in Manhattan. He's like, hey, I know this guy, one of our accounts. He's hiring right now. You should go talk to him and see what he's got going on. And so I'll never forget going to that interview as long as I live. Like to the day I die, I will never forget this. So guy sets up the interview, you know, come down to my place, just show up in the afternoon. All right, well, whatever, you know, so I show up and I'm all dressed up, you know, I got my suit on, you know, I'm like ready to just, you know, crush this interview. Yeah, so show up and this dude is probably, you know, at least a pack of cigarettes or more deep, and maybe 2 or 3 whiskeys deep at this point, you know, and you know, he's like, sit down. And so we do the interview, and you know, he's smoking while we're doing the interview. And,
That's good.
You know, I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Boiler Room, but he was like like one of the OG boiler rooms. Okay, so this dude ran a boiler room.
Yeah.
And you know, so he had a mortgage company that he was selling refinances, and the rates were just starting to come back down.
This was early
2000s. So the rates were in like the 9s and 8s. You know, we're talking about fucking 2.875%. People are pissed off.
Got spoiled for too long.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're talking about like rates coming down from 9s down to 8s, and then flirting with 7. You know, 6.875 was like a really good rate back then. So the guy's like, hey, look, you know, I'm looking for some mortgage loan officers. He's like, but you're young. You know, he's like, you're really young. I don't have any confidence in you. You know, he's like, I'll tell you what. He goes, if you can sell windows and siding at my telemarketing firm, which shared a space with the mortgage guys, right? Like, dude, there was like smoke-stained walls, like very dingy and dungy. And like my cubicle, which is tiny like this, it just had a computer monitor, a keyboard, and a fucking phone. That was it. And he's like, you can sell, you know, windows and siding. You can be on the mortgage team. I'm like, all right, deal. So I crushed it. You know, setting appointments and everything like that, using the scripts, and, you know, really got it. I was a good salesperson, right? And so, you know, dialing for dollars back then, and, you know, probably 12 hours a day. And then he put me on the mortgage side. And then I started getting really good at taking mortgage applications. And at the time, I didn't realize how good I was, you know, because there was no reference, right? So, like, you know, we're in a boiler room, and where there's, you know, 60 people in this call center, right? And you just sit there and you just dial on a predictive dialer all fucking day. And so, dialing and dialing, I'm taking like 20 mortgage apps a day. And back then, I'm probably making, you know, you get paid hourly, which was, I think, you know, $4.75 an hour, $4.25 an hour, and then you got paid $10 mortgage app, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
Big
I'm
bucks.
stacking like 200, $250 a day. I'm like killing it, right? So I'm like, dude, I made it. I made it.
Thousandaire.
Yeah, I'm like 100 at that point. So, you know, I put my resume in Monster.com, and I got recruited by this guy, Brad Berman, from Conseco Finance in Golden, Colorado. Very charismatic dude from a guy that was from Odessa, Texas. And so he's from Odessa, and he had moved out to Golden, Colorado, and he was looking for guys that were really good on the phone. He's like, New Yorkers are the best guys on the phone, which is the fucking truth. And so he called me off my resume, and we did a bunch of phone interviews, and he sent me an offer letter, 4 o'clock on a Friday. It was Friday, I don't even remember what the date was, but it was early January of 2001. And by that, that Friday, I left New York Saturday afternoon. I got to Denver on Sunday, and dude, I was at work like the next day. And so it was crazy. No time in between, 0 days, and so literally I showed up in Denver at 10 o'clock, and I was in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning next morning. I showed up and I was in a pinstripe suit with overall, suspenders and shit, and tie. And these guys are wearing, what are those things called? The bolo ties?
Oh, the bolo ties.
Oh, the bolo ties.
The little turquoise right
Dude,
here.
all these dudes are wearing those bolo ties. I'm like, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Like a trip back in time. I'm like, holy shit, I made a huge mistake coming here, And so they're all looking at me like I'm crazy. Well, anyways, started smashing company records. Crushing it, right? Like, not even close. Got a letter from the CEO, handwritten letter, and yeah, it was kind of interesting. It's a big deal, especially when you're like 23 years old. That was 23 at this time. And then I eventually got recruited by another firm, Jill Ramirez, who actually is here now in Scottsdale, but she lived in Denver at the time. And so Cherry Creek Mortgage, I went out there and worked for those guys for a little bit, and then I got introduced to the mortgage biz, like really into the mortgage biz, where it's like, oh shit, there's a lot more money than I thought there was.
So you moved beyond the app taker.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, so I used to work for Conseco, who's like a very retail type lender, kind of subprime, and got into the brokerage side where it just blew my mind, like all the product and how much money you're making on the front end and on the back end. And then I worked there for a couple months, and then I got very brave, and I started my own firm. So I started my own firm in February of 2002 called Olympus Financial Network. And it was just me, right? Like solopreneur, and I brought in a couple guys to pound the phones with me, and I did what we knew best, which was telemarketing. And so I created my own boiler room. And so literally, we had 45 people in this office, all dialing all day, And so we had junior LOs, which were basically the telemarketers. Yeah, it totally was, And then we had our LOs, and so the junior bankers are always feeding the LOs with all the good leads and stuff like that. And then everybody's pounding the phone all day, myself included. So I would sit there and smiling down until 10 o'clock at fucking night. And we started making money. I'm like, oh shit, man, we're doing it, And I became a millionaire very early in my life. So at like 24 years old.
From the loans?
From doing loans,
nice.
And just prick kid from New York making $100 grand a month or more. You do really stupid shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
And so I'm buying multiple motorcycles. I had 3 motorcycles. I had 3 homes. I had I had like 5 cars. Range Rovers and BMWs and all sorts of shit. And it was like when Fast and Furious just came out, right? So I had like all the Fast and Furious
so cool.
shit. The Mitsubishi, all the shit, right? So way outside of my means, and I thought the money would never end. And so us being a telemarketing firm, well, what happened in 2004 or 2003, the do not call list. And it crushed our business. Really? Yes, because we were dialing anywhere between 100 to 150,000 numbers a week, and so you go from that down to like 15,000, right? And there's just not enough volume. And, then obviously what happened in the market, started to shift. And so I had to make a decision. And at the time I had actually evolved from just being a mortgage company to being a title insurance agency, like a Fidelity National Title Agency or, Pioneer or something like that. And then we had the brokerage side, which was Olympus Realty. And so we had a one-stop shop. We were legitimately...
So you had the lending, the
title,
and then...
the real estate.
Real estate.
All one stop. We were the first ones to do it. And think about that, was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so now they're just starting to do that now.
So you Zillow Rocket starting to do that.
Rocket and Open Door, and these guys are starting to vertically integrate, right? So I was doing that shit 20 years ago as a 24-year-old guy.
Which is impressive, especially if you have more money to know what to do with. You'd very quickly to get distracted.
I did get distracted by a lot of things, especially, alcohol, was a big part of that, and, we would like to party. And so we would literally party until 3 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 7 o'clock and be at the office by 7:30 and do it again, and so we did that for, months and months and months. But, when that market shifted, my expenses were very high. So yes, the income was high, but the expenses were really high too. So you're talking about 6 figures a month just to keep the door open. We had an entire floor of a mid-rise building in downtown Denver, right on 16th Street Mall. That shit was expensive, in prime real estate. Yeah. Ironically, our office for Kenneth James Realty is in the same office now.
Look at that.
Yep.
Circle back.
Came back full circle 18 years later.
I like it.
And so, I'm literally in the same exact space, which is really interesting. And it's completely transformed, completely different building. But, I failed super hard. In 2005, I had to make a very difficult decision to say, hey, look, I'm literally just writing checks that they're eventually going to bounce,
right.
And I made it down to about $6,500 in my checking account. And I had to call quits. And so I sold off whatever assets I had.
How humbling was that?
Super humbling.
Yeah, going from...
But dude, at the time, looking back on it, I left Colorado to run away from my problems. Mm-hmm. Because I think it had made such a public impact. It was very public when it failed. Oh. It was very public, and so it was before social media, thank God. So you could only talk shit to me in my face.
Front page paper.
Yeah, but it was bad, dude. When I had to lay off a shitload of people, and close up shop and default on my lease and,
so how big did
sell
you
my
get?
cars. I mean, dude, we were doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year in volume, right? Down to fucking zero. Mm-hmm. And laying people off was the hardest part.
How many employees did you have, or how many?
At that point, we had about 65.
Oh, shit.
So it wasn't a big firm, but at the time, I was 26 years old at that time, 27 years old, and dude, you just take a hit right in the chin, and it's really hard on your ego.
So where does that skill come from? Do you think? Because you say you killed it selling windows, and then killed it taking more depths. Where does that skill start to come from?
Dude, it started when I was super young. And I mean, talk about rewind. I was always a hustler, and so always trying to figure out how to make money. Because I always had hobbies and shit that I wanted to pay for, and
right.
My parents made it very clear, hey, look, we're not paying for shit, right? Which was the best thing that ever could happen to me. 100%. And so, as we raise kids now, I kind of take the same approach because it made me who I am. And so they're like, hey, look, if you want it, you got to go get it. Simple as that. So at 12 years old, I started buying paper routes. So I bought a paper route from a dude. I had flipped a bunch of coins. Okay, so I got a bunch of coin collection. I flipped coins, and then I turned that into a Mac computer, and then I flipped that and turned it into the paper routes.
This is all before social media, so you really had to be a ton of face-to-face pounded.
Oh yeah, dude, you're just you're networking and talking to people. So I bought the guy. He lived like 5 doors down from me. I bought his paper route, and he had 150 dailies and like 300 Sundays, which at the time, dude, you're getting paid like 8 cents, 10 cents a piece or some shit, dude. You're killing it, right? So I'm making decent money, and all the tip money. I make a lot of tip money too. And so, I started doing that, and I started stacking cash. And then when I was 14, I became a camp counselor. And then when I was 15, I went to work for a company called Wegmans, which is just a food retailer like Safeway. Yeah. Okay. And I was making $3.35 an hour. Ooh, yeah. Killing it at the time. But then I bought my first car at 15 years old, and
wow, that's impressive.
I had that until I was like 21, and I paid for everything, myself, literally everything. So
it's like Shaq, because his motto is like, "I'm rich, you're not."
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
motherfucker, I'm rich. You're broke.
Yeah,
and so it's the same kind of mentality with our kids too. Like they got to go out and earn it. And I think that's going to serve them well. Yeah, do they hate me now? Absolutely, probably. But I think they'll definitely have the skill for life. And so that's really important to me too. So, from really 2005 through 2007 or 2008, I was in a massive depression. And I think a lot of people are really kind of nervous to talk about mental health, but dude, I was suicidal as fuck.
Right.
Like I literally had a gun in my hand. I'm like, yeah, it's time, right? And so like coming from that place and understanding where that is so hard because I know a lot of people deal with that on a daily basis and they don't talk about it, right? And I think we need to make it kind of a normal thing, where it's like, dude, it's the same thing as getting sick, COVID. We all can talk about that, but we can't talk about mental health, And so like, the events that happened over the last 2 weeks, we see how important it is to talk about mental health, right? Somebody literally goes and, kills kids or, goes into a grocery store and fucking starts capping people, right? Because we can't talk about mental health in this country. It's fucking insane. So, I didn't have purpose, and it wasn't until I started my real estate company again in 2008 that I had purpose again, and played minor league football. Not a lot of people knew that, but that literally got me through. I did for 2 years. You know, that got me through that period because I had purpose. And so that was so fundamental to my mental toughness, being able to just make it through that period of my life. Just do every day was a struggle. You wake up and you feel like shit. You have no energy. And I know that people listening to this, some of these people can relate, right? Like, unless you've had massive depression, you can't really understand. Because people that haven't had it are like, just wake up, just go
do it.
Yeah,
and you're like, I
happy.
can't, dude, I can't. You know, it's a physical ailment. It's like literally, you can't do anything.
Feels heavy.
You feel a burden that you can't describe to anybody, and it doesn't go away. It might go away in little, a couple minute increments, but dude, you're dealing with some heavy shit. And so I dealt with that for a long time, and then really I found purpose again when I started my real estate company in 2008. That failed,
2008.
It was a tough time.
All you have to say is 2008,
that's
and
it.
everybody knows.
And then we restarted in 2009 with Nick O'Donnell, which is an amazing business partner of mine. And, we grew Icon Luxury Realty to a decent sized company. We were doing pretty good volume. And then he bought me out. And then I started Kenneth James Realty in 2014. And then I bought the rest of the agents from him, from Icon. And so we have agents here that have worked for me for literally 13 years. Oh, wow. And so really kind of interesting. So the progression of Kenneth James Realty was really interesting because it's been very linear up until the last couple of years where it's been very exponential. And so one of the things that I've realized is that we always underestimate ourselves, meaning like you don't really realize what your full potential is. In a conversation that Josh Zoon guy literally just had like an hour and a half ago was the worst thing I can think of in my life is not maximizing my full potential. And I talk about this a lot in a lot of the speaking engagements that I do is like, we as people always have a duty and obligation to the people that have raised us and invested time in us and spent time with us to maximize our full potential.
Right.
And not like 98%, but like 100 fucking percent. So when people see me working until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, over and over and over for months, if not years on end without taking a break, they're like, why are you doing it? I'm like, dude, I owe it to the people that have helped me out. I owe it to them. Because if they invested time and energy and money into me, and then I did shit with it, dude, that's just a kick in the face. Like, why would you do that to somebody you care about? So, that's really what drives me today. And so completely different motivation, and we talk about this a lot, and I don't know if you were at the mastermind we did a couple weeks ago, but I talk about version 2.0. There's always a version 2.0 of somebody, it's like where they had that come to Jesus. And for me, I'm on like version number 5, where I've had to transform myself and learn these lessons the hard way over and over and over again. It's been very interesting, very humbling.
So what has kept your faith in real estate? Because if the loans failed, I feel like it'd be easy to say, oh, real estate's, I don't want to touch that. So what made you kind of try it again and then start?
I'm stubborn as shit, dude, is what it really comes down to. And the thing is like, and my mom used to say it as like a negative thing. You're fucking stubborn, and I'm like, yeah, I am, but it gets me where I'm at today. And so I don't really think it matters what vehicle you take to get your destination, just as long as you get there, right? And so a lot of people are like focused on, oh, do I do mortgages? Do I do real estate? Do I do title? Do I do sales? Do I do automotive sales? What am I going to do to get to my end goal? I'm like, it doesn't really matter, because if you're the best, undeniably the best, you'll get your goal, right? People reward you for being the best. They're not going to reward you for being, third place. Life doesn't give you participation trophies. It gives you a big F or a win.
By the way, those drive me nuts.
Yeah, we're not.
I don't like those. I think those are the downfall.
It's like no,
there needs to be winners and losers, because you need to feel what it feels like to lose, so you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You want to win.
And the thing about second place too is like I don't even think there should be a second place.
It's
a pass or fail.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Very
you either did it or you didn't.
Yep.
Like there's no like, I got close.
No, it's not horseshoes or grenades.
No. Yeah.
The only time it counts.
That's great.
Okay, so kind of circling back again, because I was like knowing how it started. So when you had that kind of mentality at 12, what did you do it by yourself, or did you have a group of friends? Were you all like-minded, or do you find yourself kind of
Dude,
alone?
I was an outcast.
Yeah.
For sure, I was an
because
outcast.
Of that?
Well, just in general.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't socially awkward, but I really distanced myself from people at a very young age, and I knew that I was different,
right.
Not that I looked different or, I spoke different. I didn't have any like impediments or anything like that, but I just knew that like mentally I'm just different,
Right.
right? Like I just built differently. And so I didn't really associate with a lot of people in college or even high school or elementary school. I really didn't. It was a very tight group of people. And so people think that, you know, I was a nightclub DJ for a long time. They're like, you must be this huge extrovert. I'm like, dude, it takes a lot of energy for me to get out there. You know, like I'm a very introverted person, right? So, but at 12 years old, it's like, you know, life's a little bit more simple. And so you only see the goal and the path to get there, and not all the bullshit in between. And I think as, you know, adults, we get really conditioned to see the things in between that stops us from going to get our goal. Right. If that makes any sense to you.
Oh,
you know, because you're like, oh shit, you know, that mountain's huge, dude. And you're like, well, I gotta climb this huge mountain and there's all these obstacles in the way and there's no real path to do it and fuck it, I'm just not gonna do it.
Right.
As a kid, you're like, there's the top. How do you get there? Well, that way.
Yep.
Right, you just
Plain
go.
and simple.
Like you're almost, you know, blissfully ignorant, you know, and so I think that's helped me out a lot. Blissful ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, I guess now that where you're at now, you could coast. 'Cause I imagine you get some nice residuals, you have the brokerage.
Yeah.
Why do you keep pushing?
I mean, realistically, I probably don't need to work.
Right.
But that would not align with my purpose. So when you have a purpose that is bigger than you or bigger than money, that's when you have real drive. And so, you know, here's kind of the evolution of the way things work out. When you're, you know, in the beginning stages of your career, you know, you're always like, I need that salary, I need that safety, it's $60,000 a year. You pick a number, doesn't matter what number it is. $60,000 a year. Then you hit $60,000 a year, you're like, oh, well, maybe get a little more. And so eventually what happens is you try to back this up a little bit. You get complacent. And what you're talking about is 99% of people, right? Where they're like, oh, I made it. You know,
Right.
I'm making $100,000 a year, I want to make $100,000 a year, I'm good. You know, but what drives you past that is when you make that purpose about someone else or something else. It can never be about you or money. And so for me, it's helping people, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that suffer from depression. You know, I gave myself diabetes. Like I'm very, you know, like I gave it to myself. I'm a fucking dumbass. I eat like shit. Educating other people on how not to do that.
Right.
Okay, it's probably a very good thing to do. Money can play a small equation in that, right? Because I can get influence from that. But it's not. It's only the method to get to where I want to be, which is helping a massive amount of people. And so that's why I do the coaching and shit. I give all my shit away for free. You know, like I don't charge anybody for the coaching. You know, the brokerage it doesn't make any money, right? Like I'm cool with that. So, you know, if you're aligning with your purpose, there's no reason to have to like force yourself to do anything. You just do it. You know, because the purpose is way bigger.
Right.
And so you gotta have big purposes. You know, and it can't be like tied to a monetary thing ever.
That's kind of what I'm seeing when I talk to people that they've kind of made it, they are in good positions in life. It's never just about the money, because the money alone isn't a big enough driver, because you can have enough in the bank, you can do any vacations you want, but like if you don't have something to keep pushing, I think that kind of desire to keep pushing goes away, and you find yourself coasting. And
You're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't ever get comfortable. And so like
The
I
only
put
place
myself
you
in
can
uncomfortable
coast-
positions
Yeah.
all the time.
The only place you can coast is downhill.
Yeah, you're gonna regress
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And the thing too is that if you don't have a purpose, like if you accomplished everything on your list, and then your purpose goes away, what happens?
What's left? Yeah.
Well, you get thrown back into depression,
Yeah,
and you
you
can't get
never
out.
Never
And
want
then
to be
as
the
a-
smartest or richest in the room.
Well,
Learn that.
yeah,
Because then you never progress, you
you
know.
never progress. You can't progress. You know, and so your limit, your really limit is how big you can think. You know, and so that's a really important lesson. If you take any lesson away from today, it's your limit is literally just how big you can think, and that's it. You know, so
I'm a big believer in that, because I think your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And it all depends on how you kind of frame and have the right mentality of like eyes on the prize and purpose.
So I want you to kind of think of something that's very interesting. So I own a building in downtown Phoenix, right? And it, you know, 6 months ago was in a decent area, but since like COVID restrictions and everything came back and like, or were undone, I guess, the eviction moratorium ended, the homeless population in downtown Phoenix is literally 10x'd, right? And now it's encroaching on my property. You know, I was taking my kids down there and they're like looking at people and they're like, man, they're, you know, like some of these people look kind of normal, right? And so what is the only difference between the person that is homeless and me? Physically, we're the same. We look very similar. If you clean up a homeless dude, he probably looks pretty decent.
Like those
pretty
videos
normal
they give
dude.
him a cut, it's like that guy looks normal.
Yeah, you can go on like YouTube and see these guys, right?
Yep.
Transformations. You haven't had a haircut in 20 years, right? And the barber comes in and makes him look like a fucking rock star.
Yeah, I know. It's the weirdest thing.
So the only thing that separates you from being homeless to being massively successful is one thing. It's your mind.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. It's your mindset.
Right. No, I actually like that because every time I see videos like that, it reminds me everyone is a little bit like it's not too hard to end up in that. All it takes is a couple strings of bad events, and you could you could
go back on my it's too late now. But my Instagram story that I posted like 3 days ago, it was May 30th, so it's 2 days ago. May 30th, 8 years ago, I was DJing on Mill Ave.
I saw the poster.
Right, for $200. And my bank account was gone. It wasn't even overdrawn. Wells Fargo revoked it.
Oh, they did.
Right?
So
I couldn't even I couldn't even redeem it, and I couldn't get a bank account anywhere else because I was on that check system shit. And they tell all the other banks, "Oh, the guy's a deadbeat. He overdrew his account. Don't give him an account." I couldn't even get a bank account. Right, so I'm cashing my checks at Check Plus, and I'm a premier member there still, by the way. But cashing my checks at the check cashing place, 1 day away from eviction in January of 8 years ago. 1 day away. And so Patty, if she's listening, Patty helped me out because she worked for the management company where I lived. And she kept kicking the can down the road to evict me. And she eventually was like, look, today's the day. You got to pay up or you got to get out. And I'm like, holy shit. And so I pawned my stuff to go pay my rent.
The payment?
The problem was that rent was due again the next day. And that cycle started over, but I had to go back to DJing. And it was a really, really, again, massive failure back in like 2014, 2013, where I had gone into business with a guy and, just the wrong situation. Won't get into that one, but, I had no money, dude. I had poured every dime I had into that business and it failed massively in like 2 months. And so completely upside down. Yeah, and so no income, no savings, no checking account, rent was due. Car got repossessed. My car got repossessed. Just eating a shit sandwich.
The Fast and Furious one?
No, dude, I gave that one up a long time ago. I had to sell all that shit back in like 2007, 2008. But yeah, I've been a failure multiple times, man. And I don't think people really understand that it has to be part of the process.
So did you always kind of feel and believe that you were destined for much higher? Because of the failures, you could have been like, fuck, rent's due. I got to go get some job.
Oh, dude, it's so easy to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I feel like the common theme here is you put it all on Karl. You put all your chips on yourself, even when evictions, bank, you can't get one, and
you couldn't even get a bank.
Yeah, car's gone. It's like even then, and that's what's so crazy to me, in a good way, that you can have that big of a belief in yourself.
At the end of the day, I'll always bet on myself. I'll always bet on myself. And it's not easy, right? You have days of doubt. Every day, dude, I still have days of doubt, right? Where the market shifted really hard in the last 3 months. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I got to make changes.
Scrambling.
You're scrambling, right? Like, you're like, holy shit. So there's days of self-doubt all the time. And that, by the way, that depression and that anxiety lingers with you for life. Because you always revert back to that place sometimes. So like people that have dealt with that shit understand what I'm talking about, where it's like,
the monkey can come back quicker than you think.
It can come back faster than you think it can, in a couple wrong moves and you're back there. And so, really important to understand that's okay. But at the end of the day, if you have faith that you can, do it yourself and you've done hard shit before, it goes back to being mentally tough, then you can do it again. And that's something I have to remind myself over and over and over again. It's like, dude, I'm not afraid to go back down to zero because I know I can do it again. Does it suck? Fuck yeah, it sucks.
That's not a fun time.
But I know I can do it.
Right.
So like if you took me all the money away and you took everything I own away and you plop me down in the middle of nowhere and you're like, go figure it the fuck out, I'll figure it out, dude. Like there's no doubt. Right. Because I've had to do so many hard things in my life. If I didn't have those obstacles, I didn't have those frustrations and those setbacks and just being brought back down to ground zero, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
So you mentioned Patty. Is there anyone else in your life that you kind of pinpoint as like a milestone, like it wasn't for this person?
Ironically, it's the people that have hurt me the most. 100% has. Really? Yes, because that forced me to take action. Right? Like when my business partner fucked me in 2013, look at what resulted from that.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot of good stuff.
And I'll tell you what. Yeah. So I was at Cheesecake Factory in Biltmore. And I was getting out, I was going to my car, and my car was parked in Valley. I was driving a Rolls Royce at the time.
Oh, it wasn't a Ghost. It was a Wraith.
Yeah, I had the Ghost. I had a Wraith too, but I had the Ghost with me. And can you not fucking believe that the guy fucked me was driving like a 2005 Chevy Suburban with like no AC, all the windows and shit were down. It was like,
Sound good.
yeah, like no hubcaps and shit.
Karma.
Yeah.
And he was driving through the parking lot, and I looked at him. We made eye contact,
Peace.
and the guy opened the valet opened the door for me. And I got on my Rolls Royce.
I would have been like,
That's
"Peace,
good.
big
Hell
guy."
yeah.
Yep. And I know that burned him. I know that burned him.
100%.
What are the
And
odds he's passing
What
by?
are the freaking odds, dude? 0, right? Like I hadn't seen the guy since. Hadn't seen him since.
So,
100%.
big car guy. What is your favorite out of the fleet you've ever had?
That's a hard question.
I know,
Probably what
'cause-
I drove today, which would
Which one
be
today?
my Lamborghini LP 610-4.
Nice.
It's epic, dude. And I've owned a lot of exotic cars.
Right.
So multiple Rolls Royce, a couple Ferraris, Bentleys, a couple Bentleys.
And you'd say Lamborghini best?
I think
Lamborghini
it's the
shine?
best.
Think so?
It's better than the Ferraris, I think.
What makes it the best?
It's not temperamental. Ferraris can be temperamental. Like
fussy.
they're very delicate cars. Dude, the Lamborghini, I just get in it, I freaking rip it. And it never
take it.
It's never broken. It just keeps going, and it's just awesome.
You have plans for it?
I've done enough. So I've done the suspension, got the body kit on there.
Nice.
I've got the wing.
Little VF supercharger calling your name?
No, I can't do it, dude. I'll blow it up in a week. No, but yeah, I think just the type of cars I've had. The Rolls Royce is definitely an epic vehicle. Like you have to have one in your lifetime. But I'm too young.
Right.
I shouldn't be driving a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
They're cool, but they're just kind of an old guy car. The Ferraris have a very distinct demographic to them.
Oh.
You had the...
Were you the one that somebody smashed your car?
Yeah.
Yes.
He
I
showed me
showed her
that
that.
a
Did you
long
see it on
time
YouTube?
ago.
No, I showed it
He
to her
showed
a
me
while
that
ago.
a long time ago, and I just realized that it was you.
Yep, that was my car. Got smashed by a golf club. Yep.
Golf club.
And so like the Ferrari came with like a negative connotation to it.
It does.
The Lamborghini, I just get thumbs up all the time.
Really?
But the Ferrari, I'll never forget. So I had bought the Ferrari, and it was low on gas, of course. The freaking dealer gave it to me, no gas in it. So I'm driving out of the parking lot. I'm driving down to the gas station, and I'm like trying to figure it out still. Like, so I'm not really paying attention to the road. And there was a chick walking down the sidewalk. And she looks over at me and she flips me off. I've had this car for 5 minutes, dude.
It's like,
And I'm
it's a
like,
good
that's
start.
okay. I guess that's Ferrari life.
I mean, I'll take that.
What
It was
was
so
it?
funny.
It wasn't a
That was
360.
that was a
The
430.
430.
Yeah, but it was bright red.
that's a good
like if you ever went to a dealership and like, give me the douchiest car, that's the car they give you. And so it's just funny. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm definitely a car guy.
What car did you buy where you were fucking stoked to get it? You get it and you're like, this sucks.
Oh my God, the Bentley Bentayga, dude.
The Bentayga? Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot you had that.
You know what? I traded in after like 7 months. I just didn't love it. It was fast.
Really?
It is
It's
fast
got
at a
that
different level.
W12 in there, right?
Yeah, twin turbo W12. I mean, it's like 700 horsepower conservatively. It's probably like 800. And I mean, it's fast. It's quiet. It smelled good. It had a very good smell to it. Like I'll never forget that smell.
Nice leather cars always have a
perfect.
very
I
good
The
smell.
perfect, distinct, very distinct smell.
That's what I like about Porsches.
Yeah,
They smell
they have a
nice.
very distinct. Mercedes do too. But yeah, but I don't know. I just didn't love it. Like it did everything well, but it was like there's no personality.
I think because it's not a off-roader in the sense, so you can't use it for the SUV in that sense. It was quick, but it wasn't built for being a fast car. So
No.
it's not a fast car very well. I feel like that car, it just was trying to do too many things.
Yeah, dude, I
to where
can't use it
didn't
as an
kill it.
SUV.
Yeah.
I can't go to IKEA and throw a bunch of shit in the back.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't park anywhere because the thing is too freaking expensive.
I know.
Can't drive on the highway because the windshield's like $5,000. So it just sucked. Yeah.
So how long of owning high caliber cars did it take for you to stop worrying about it in the parking lot?
Not that long.
Really?
honestly. Yeah, the Bentayga I didn't want to park anywhere because it was so like it was kind of incognito. It didn't look like an exotic car, so people would just ding the shit out of it. They pull up next to it in their freaking Honda and be like, "Bink,
Ping.
I'm like, dude, you're killing me. But the Lamborghini is my daily driver, legitimately.
So you park. Where do you park when you go somewhere?
Wherever there's parking,
Anywhere?
it's out in the parking lot right now. And dude, when I go home, it parks outside.
Oh, really?
It's not even in the
Wow.
garage.
What's in the garage
Yeah.
space?
What's in the
what
garage
makes
space?
it-
My go karts, my tools, yeah, that kind of shit.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh, the tools won that battle.
Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to think of another cool thing I know you have. The Mustang.
Mustang's cool,
That thing is cool.
dude. I
That-
love like big American horsepower.
The S550 in there, right? You got that generation?
Yeah, sure do. Coyote engine. Yeah, it's all forged.
What's it? Oh, it's got forged internals and
Everything's forged. Yep, it's got E85 tune. It's got
NA.
no cats.
Are you able-
It's still NA. I'm not a fan of supercharging shit unless it like comes that way.
Really?
Because I blow them up.
That's
I
probably
put
fun.
turbos and superchargers just to blow them up. It's stupid. Just do stupid shit.
Well,
What are we doing?
now it's time for Drink of Champions.
Yes, dude. It is my favorite drink, by the way. Thank
So,
you.
of course.
I know you guys are probably like into alcohol and stuff. I'm just
Oh, no,
I'm
you're
not
good.
a drinker, so
That's part of it.
We had some the other day, and I woke up so sick from
Oh,
like
I know.
a couple seltzers.
We had
Oh,
4 seltzers, and it was like too
and
much.
I was so sick, so
just
I'm like,
wasted, huh?
I'm just not good at it.
This is legitimately like my favorite drink.
I don't know if I've had Pellegrino.
I haven't
Oh, it's
either.
so good. It's
So,
very refreshing.
what does the morning routine look like?
Morning routine is very monotonous, man.
Really?
It really is. So what I do, basically, I wake up, and I'm usually up pretty early. And Ashley is like up
Oh my God.
stupid
She's
early.
So you're thinking like
always
4:33.
She's at the gym by
Gym,
5 at the
reading.
latest.
Didn't she do like
Like, this
18
girl's
miles or something?
killing
And I'm
me.
like,
Yes.
girl, how do you do that?
By like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
you're
she's like done
killing
with
me.
her water. I'm like,
I know.
Real
okay.
quick,
So-
cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you for having me on, too, by the way.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
coming
Thank
on.
you.
I've never
So
had this.
I'll wake up, and then I'm pretty quick out of bed. I
Really?
can't sit in bed.
How do you get up? How,
So,
like I get
if
it.
my
there's
alarm
things
gets
that-
up, very specific routine. My phone does sit next to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Alarm goes off. I literally will rotate in one motion, feet on the floor, press the off button. I'll take a second because my body's sore as fuck usually. Okay, I can do this. Give myself like that
Yeah.
pep talk, and then I'll actually get up and I'll go eat breakfast right away, and then I'm like at work within a couple minutes after that. I'll take a quick shower, and then I'm out the door.
Okay.
I cannot linger. I'm not a lingerer. So like I've got to just get up and just go.
See, that's where I struggle because my biggest thing is like if I don't get out of bed right when I turn off the alarm off, and I just like, oh, let me wake up and lay here. I'll fucking
don't.
spend
You
45
don't.
minutes.
And then you feel
can't.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're
More
like, why did
tired.
I just waste
Because
all
then,
this time?
then you look at the clock, you're like, I was up 45 minutes ago, I'm still
And I
here.
did nothing.
And it doesn't count as being awake, as my dad would say.
Yep, it's true. It doesn't count as being asleep either.
That's true.
It's worthless.
Limbo.
Yeah, you just got to get up and just get after it. But one of the things I learned very early was being very intentional about my day. So trying to instill that on my agents. When you wake up, you've got to have a plan. So I use Andy Frisella's Power List relentlessly, right? So like I'm visualizing. As soon as I'm out of bed, I'm literally visualizing what my day is going to look like down to the minute. And say I need to be here, 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 here. And what route am I going to take? What streets am I going to take? How fast do I need to drive to get there? When they get there, what's going to happen? What's the sequence of events? How I'm going to do my follow-up for the day? What does that look like? What time do I need to be at the gym? What time do I need to leave the gym? And I'm a very routine-driven person, so you can catch me on the same road at the same time every
day.
single day. It's really
Don't tell
interesting to
DPS
see.
that.
Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting. But I leave the gym at the same time. I get to the gym at the same time. I do the same kind of routines, and that's helped me a lot. Especially with how chaotic my life is, is that does give me a little bit of structure with some flexibility in between. And if I found I'm not intentional about my day, everybody else dictates what my day is going to look like, and I can't have that. I can't afford that, right? So like I'm being pulled in so many different directions at so many different times that it's like, okay, I know exactly what needs to happen, and I'm not going to bed until that shit is done. But I'm going to make sure for fucking hell or high water, like I'm just going to stick in that routine. Yep.
So a lot of people are really big, especially now where it's mental health is becoming more talked about. A lot of people are talking about they like to meditate in the morning, journal. Do you do any type of? Do you like that?
Yeah, I do like a moment of reflection, and I do it very often, where I literally just sit there for a minute, and I kind of close my eyes, and I'm very intentional about, okay, what does my day look like? I'm visualizing it, just that moment of like gratitude too, where it's like, I live a life that very few people get to live.
Right.
And I'm so thankful for that, and it motivates the shit out of me too, because like I know that I can lose that in an instant, and so that's that moment where I like get that shot of adrenaline, and I'm like, okay, now it's ready. I'm ready to go. So
it sounds like you knock out the meditation, the gratitude, and then
big
the
deep
journal.
breath, and I just go.
Yeah,
You
all in one go.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
I like that. So what happens, because you have your routine. My biggest thing is once I get in a routine and I'm fucking killing it, it's great. But if I have one day where I mess it up, I feel like I get totally derailed. Do you have that at all where like if one day you...
Oh, dude,
you
yeah, I
skew
get
it?
grumpy as hell.
Or when you
Yeah.
get sick, though. Like, if you're sick and you're down for like a couple days, like it's pretty bad. How do you get that motivation back and go, like,
Got to go
get
back
in
into
the
routine, and that's what supports me my entire time
Okay.
is my routine, because I know I'm like gonna hold myself accountable. Like, So I've been working out for 22 years straight, like legitimately, you know, so like I haven't missed many workouts in 22 years. And so like, because it's just built into my life, it's just part of who I am. So if I have a fucked up day, it's non-negotiable. But if I do have a day where shit just hits the fan, I can't make it to the gym, and I get home and it's chaos, and the dogs are running around, and there's somebody shit on the floor, and like, you know, there's this chaos, you know, right? You know, it's just like, oh my god, dude, you know, like what the hell happened? I get grumpy, you know, and you can see it in me. I might not like verbally express that I'm grumpy, but I'm like grumpy, you know, and so like when I get out of my routine, yeah, it throws me off. 100% it does, you know. But the next day is like a reset. Like,
okay, so it's like a fresh look that you just forget that happened because
you have to.
See, like my thing is I fucking dwell on it. I'm like I was doing so good, and I had the one day, and then
you just get in your head.
And that's the part that
self-talk.
And that's what makes it difficult for me. Personally, is like I was doing so good. I had this many streaks in a row, knocking everything out, and I have the one, and then I like fucked it up.
Yep.
So I guess that's one part I'll try is just
dude, think less, do more.
Yeah.
100%. That's it. Think less, do more. Like don't dwell on the shit.
Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah, because you're not gonna change anything.
Right.
Take a lesson from it if you can. You know, if your day's just fucked up because it's fucked up, and just move on.
Right.
Not gonna.
First
one day.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Yeah.
I see that. And then I'm trying to think of any other good daily routines that I've heard. But because I'm noticing a common theme, if everyone always talks about the meditation and all that, so that really plays a big. Is that another one a non-negotiable for you? Is that the moment
visualization? 100%.
Do you sauna? Do you cold plunge at all?
I can't because of my diabetes.
Oh,
it really fucks me up.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know.
Especially heat.
Interesting.
Craziest thing.
I didn't know that.
Heat.
Really?
Yeah. Like a sauna. I tried a sauna one time. It's less than 11. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, my blood sugar went to 0. Yeah, and then like dragging a dead sweaty dude out of the sauna. It's really embarrassing.
Well.
So, yep.
Dude, do you know what they need in saunas? Elevator music. Because otherwise, I was in there today, it was packed, and it was just 5 dudes heavy breathing.
Oh, I know, dude. It's just
it's
way too quiet in there.
It's so awkward.
Elevator music is like the perfect music for a sauna.
100%.
Like just cheesy, just 1970s elevator music. I dig that.
I do have something off of this topic.
Yeah,
but with the market shifting, I know you have Airbnbs, you have rentals, all that stuff. Which way is the best way to go right now with everything happening?
It depends on who you are and what you're trying to do. It really does. It's different for everybody. And so, you know, I am a contrarian investor where I'm like going left and everybody else is going right. And so like when people are selling, I'm buying. You know, so like I'm really looking forward to the next 6 months because everybody's like losing their shit, right? And so Josh and I were just talking about like, hey, we're going heavy in cash right now. You know, so like I'm liquidating all my assets, I'll hold for a little bit, just stay in cash. And then when people are like panic selling, because there's gonna be a couple of people that are gonna go into foreclosure, you're gonna see some shit going on, you know, where they're gonna have to fire sale it. Maybe they have equity so they don't need to go into foreclosure, but they need to get rid of it quick. I'm there, man. And give me like the dirtiest of the dirty stuff. I love it. And so like I'm ready, you know, and all my friends are ready too. Like we've been talking about this moment for a minute. So
speaking of Airbnbs, just barely got into the last mastermind.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, she missed it.
I know.
I briefly
the
told
prostitutes?
her the prostitutes.
Well,
prostitutes.
Oh, you did say something about prostitutes.
Oh yeah, we've seen it all. Yeah, we had like a legit prostitution ring in one of our Airbnbs in Scottsdale.
I've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of that happens.
It's
Or they just
crazy.
go in to film things.
Well, I don't care if they film. I don't even care that, you know, as long as they pay the bills and they don't trash the place.
Yeah.
But dude, this place was a wreck. It was a wreck. And we went in there to clean it at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Cleaner showed up, and then I got a call from, I think it was Ashley, or when was it? Maybe it was the cleaners. And they're like, you're going to want to get over here right away. And we had people flying in from Hawaii that day. And you know,
So how long were they staying there?
So the prostitution girls, they initially did like a 2 or 3 night stay, but they kept adding in nights, and so it like wasn't an issue. And the credit card always went through, and it was like cool. And they were super sweet. They were like genuinely nice people, you know. And so
I wonder where they got such good people.
Prostitutes could be nice too, I guess. So you know, but when we actually went in to clean, it was a complete disaster. There were still drugs on the floor. You know, they had nearly burned our house down. They had put candles on the, you know, upholstered beds, and they caught on fire.
Giving their candles a romantic experience.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, they don't know how to set the mood, I guess. So like, you know, there was literally fire and smoke marks up the wall. And I'm sitting here like, what the hell am I gonna do? And so we turned it over in 5 hours. And we were just finishing up as these people from Hawaii were getting out of their Uber and walking in, and we're like,
you have no idea
good
what I
to
just
see
did.
you. Welcome, come on in, let me show you around. You know, I'm like, 5 hours earlier, the place was trashed. All the bedding was trashed. I mean, there was just shit everywhere. There's food everywhere. I mean, it's unreal. But we got it cleaned up, and we got a 5-star review after that. We had a very large party right in the middle of COVID. So it was the middle of March 2020.
Oh, that was.
And that was
Literally
like
when it happened.
right in the middle, and helicopters coming out. The Channel 5 news thing did a spotlight on it. We had her daughter was 16 at the time, 17 at the time. She was on Snapchat, and she's like, I think there's a party at the house. And I'm looking at him like, those motherfuckers. And so, we broke it up right away. But, there was a stripper pole in the living room, and they left marks on the ceiling. I'm like, oh my God, dude. It was like $10,000 worth of damage.
Oh my
God.
God.
Shit.
Really? Do you charge them that amount? Or
No way.
how
We
do you
tried.
go?
We had to put an insurance claim in, and what ended up happening was insurance took so long that I eventually fixed it all myself.
Just said fuck it.
And I didn't even make the claim. And so, yeah, I painted the whole house myself, and I just got it all done. I'm like, I'll just fix this shit. I mean, we've seen everything. We got robbed like 3 times back to back to back, where they'd come in and they'd clean out the house. And then we'd find out when the cleaners go to clean, and then we'd refurnish it in one day, and it was like a common thing. We got really good at like turning these disaster pieces into like an actual, rentable house within like 4 or 5 hours. Nobody would even know. Like the place got robbed 4 hours ago.
So
but we've seen everything.
But
Everything.
So even with a headache, it's still like you think it's still like a good thing to do.
I do think that in Scottsdale particularly, it is oversaturated. Like if you're going to go into Airbnbs or short-term rentals, find a very small niche. Like a cabin in the middle of nowhere, or Airstreams, or like something that would be themed, like a Barbie house, or like a, who freaking knows, but like make it a theme, because just the generic Airbnb model is not going to work for too much longer.
Yeah,
I've seen that. I'm in a mastermind of Airbnb, and there's a lot of people saying like, I'm not getting any bookings, like I don't have anybody for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you got to recognize too that the top 1% are going to get like 98% of the revenue, So if you're really good at it, you're really good at it. Like undeniably good at it, there's a lot of money to be made. But if you're just average and you're going to put a half-assed attempt, you're going to get fucking slaughtered.
Yeah, I think that kind of boom to where you could do that
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah, because we started doing Airbnbs in 2017. So like early 2017, January 2017.
Seems like you're good on your timing.
I try to be.
Yeah,
I can understand how people, what they want. Like I can see trends. So like we stopped painting houses gray back in 2018. It was the last gray house that we did. Or maybe even 2017. It was the last gray house that we did. So like we haven't been doing that shit in a while, and now we're back into like neutrals, right? Like we're gonna go tan again. The next house that we're gonna do is probably gonna be tan walls, and people are gonna be looking at it like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? This is 2007." I'm like, no,
it's coming back.
It's gonna look great. It's like those natural tones and stuff are gonna come back.
The travertine and the dark cherry cabinets.
It'll come back. I'm telling you.
When I first started, that's what was popular, and I remember seeing, there's a lot of grays going on.
Yeah,
there's a lot of white. There's one house I was looking at, it's all white. Everything was white. And I'm like, this is like hurting my eyes.
And I can't remember who it was, but I went on to like, it was a rant on my Instagram stories. I'm like, next fucking white house I see, I'm gonna kill somebody. Weight shaker cabinets. All right, sweet. That shit's 2018. Stop doing that. Yeah, so.
So, what has been the most memorable flip for you?
Most memorable? I've had some doozies.
Good or bad?
Some real shit.
Yeah.
So like one of the worst, that actually turned out to be one of the best, was Hearn, 4176 West Hearn Ave in Phoenix. And so Jordan Page, one of our agents, he's like, hey dude, I got a wholesale deal for you. I'm like, I'll go look at it. And my original idea was I'll buy it from him, and then I'll just wholesale it and I'll make like 20 grand, right? And I'm running the comps on it. I'm like, the comps are pretty good, like purchase price back then, it wasn't actually that long ago. It was $174,000 I picked it up from him for. Paid him a commission on it. And then I was thinking it'd probably be worth like 270, 275. And so I was like, I'll wholesale it for 190. I'll make 15 G's. Every wholesaler brought in was like, no fucking way. Not even a chance, dude. This house, the guy turned the pool into a fish hatchery where he was hatching fish.
That can be gross.
In the pool. Dude, it was bad.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
And then there was so much trash and shit in the back. He had made like 5 different additions to this house. And legitimately, like nothing was permitted. Come to find out that the guest bathroom in the back part of the house just drained into the backyard. When we did all the demo and everything like that, we took out the old patio extensions and all the other stuff. We found a koi pond that were fish still alive in there, like a month later. No joke. They were under so much stuff that we didn't even know that there was a fish pond there. I mean, hoarder to the next level where we open up the master bedroom, the vanity in the bath, and like 30 or 40 vodka bottles were stuffed in there. And so like the guy had real issues. I've seen dead bodies in quite a few of these flips.
Seriously?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And so murders.
I was gonna say, are they left there or are they murders?
So one of the ones that I didn't actually buy, but it was 43rd Avenue Thunderbird. There's a little townhouse community over there. And it was one of my agents, Logan, brought me over there. And he's like, oh, you should wholesale this deal. So we walk in there. And something was weird when the place was completely unlocked. And like we just walked in. There was no lockbox or anything. And
Show yourself.
all the stuff was like on the patio and shit. All the stuff had moved out to the patio. I'm like, this is kind of strange. And then we went upstairs and I started seeing the drug paraphernalia. You know, I'm like, okay, we got squatters or something. No, it was the actual people that were living there. And it was a double murder suicide. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but when something like that happens, generally on the property owner to clean that up. And so the property owner had elected not to clean anything.
Ooh.
And there were things everywhere, you know, including matter. And so it was quite gruesome. And so
you just walked into that
walked
not
into
knowing.
it. Walked right off the street, didn't know what was going into, had no clue that somebody got murdered there. Multiple people got murdered there. And
Yikes.
yeah,
Well,
and
I
I
would
still
assume
have it
the
in my
smell
phone.
is not great.
Didn't
or was
smell.
it like newly?
Didn't smell. Didn't smell.
See,
So it must have been
that
newer.
reminds me, this one time, I was coming back from probably Mill or Old Town, in the lift, and, you know, always weaseling in, hey, I'm in real estate.
Yep.
Guy's like, no way, I'm actually going to sell my house. So I was like, fuck yeah, this worked out perfectly. So I set an appointment, I go to this lift driver's house, and it's just, I'm all excited because the MLS, it's like 4,000 square feet, huge house. I'm like, this is going
Too good to be true.
Yeah, like, this is amazing. I get there, the dude was a hoarder.
Oh no.
There was like Christmas trees everywhere. There's hallways. He's like, yeah, there's 2 rooms over there. You can't get to those, obviously. And there was literally just like this table full of stuff. And it was so disgusting in my head. I'm like, I'm so ready to get out of here. And then he showed me the guest house. We walk in, and I held my breath as long as I could while he was showing me. And he was like, yeah, the dog died 2 weeks ago. We just got rid of him the other day. So they just had this dead dog rotting.
Just hanging out in there.
Yeah, and it smelled so bad, and the pool was so green. And I was like, oh, I could not get out of there fast
Oh
enough.
yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen it all, man. I've seen it all.
It's so crazy. People are like, oh yeah, it's just.
I know,
Oh,
and they're
there's-
just like totally fine. Like,
Oh,
I
people
get you
have-
go
I
through
think
stuff,
they just
but
know.
it's.
There's nothing that you can't recover from that. Right?
Oh, I know,
Like,
but
you
it's
just-
like I wouldn't want somebody to know that that was
No way.
mine. I would be like, I don't want to be there.
You can't be sorry for the mess of the whole
I know.
house.
Sorry for the mess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
I love it, man. Yeah, I love the worst stuff you can buy.
The
That's
best
what I'm
deals.
buying. Yep.
Interesting.
It smells like money.
That's a good smell. Well, so for the segment we like to end with is, if you had everyone plugged in, everyone in the world, you have a quick 30 seconds, what do you tell them?
Believe in yourself.
Yourself?
You're way underestimated. And so if you look at my very last Instagram post, it says you're underestimated as fuck. And a lot of it comes from your own mentality, right? So like, I don't think people are really understanding what they're capable of and what your body and mind are capable of. And so when things like 75 hard are a really good gateway to even just crack, you know, the sliver of what you can actually, you know, bring into your full potential. So your body can push way harder than you think it can. You know, so like I have worked literally 100 hours a week or more, 110 hours a week for months on end with no rest and no days off. And I'm okay, right? Like
Still here.
you'll make it through.
Your eyes are open.
And like physically, you know, I've had to do some really, really hard shit where you're like, I don't know if anybody is supposed to survive from that, and you're just fine. Like where you experience pain and your threshold of pain is so much lower than I think what, you know, you're actually capable of. When you experience pain, you're probably at 20% of your actual capability.
I think it comes down to comfort. People love to be comfortable. And then the fact that is like life starts outside your comfort zone. But I think that's why so many people are stuck in it, because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And they just don't think, I can't do it. So I think that we are our biggest blocker of our own success.
Yeah, I think you got to become like a sadist in a weird way, like where you have to really just want pain, you know, and you crave it, you know, not necessarily the pain, but the results.
Right. That's where the growth happens.
And I'm telling you, there's something 100% with the law of attraction. Look, I'm not spiritual at all. I'm not religious at all. Don't believe in God. But I do know for a fact that what you put into the universe, you're going to get back. And I can't describe it, dude. Can't describe it.
It is weird.
Yep. Things I put out there like, oh, I want this car. And magically it fucking shows up, right? Like, don't know how that shit manifests itself. Don't know how. I'm telling you, I don't know how it works, but I know it works.
There you go. I don't need to know why the sky's blue. I just know that it is.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Carl.
Dude, thank you, man.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
And that's it.